Hey you, yeah, you, the one trying to make a video game. I've got someone here that can help you, and that someone is Intel, which is not a someone, it's a company. But this company, they are going to help you as if they were a somebody and a someone and also a something. Check out software.intel.com/gamedev to find out how Intel is making sure all the innovation in gaming continues to happen on the PC as part of the Intel Game Dev program. Again, that URL is software.intel.com/gamedev. Sign up and start something new. Over. We are half in the office or not in the office at all or traveling for the holiday break sort of thing. And so what we've done is we've gotten together and we're going to decide some Game of the Year categories. We've already done a few this week. This is, I believe, entry 3 in our 5-part series that will culminate with us actually picking the top 10 best games of the year at the end of this week. For this episode, we are going to go over, let me see, I don't even remember now, Standout Gaming Moment, Best Rating, and Best Ongoing Game. Which I'm not even sure if that's what we're going to call that category, but that's fine for now.
It's a work in progress.
Exactly. With me is the dude just talking there is Mike Minotti. Go ahead and say hi to everybody, Mike.
You can't prove that's me.
And Stephanie Chan. Say hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
How do we prove that it's really Mike, Stephanie? That's where I'm lost.
No one knows.
We got to figure something out.
He's disappeared into his bunker for several years now.
Is Mega Man good?
Hey, yes, it is. Oh.
We did it.
Do my moments have to count for games that came out this year? Because just to let everyone know, I beat Mega Man 3 without dying yesterday, and it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I saw your tweet. I was very proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I literally opened a bottle of Dom Perignon that I've had laying around for since 1999. So
man, that's
what those are the occasions I save stuff like that for.
Man, that is okay. So it is definitely Mike Minotti.
Me.
This will be very this will play in court. The judge will accept this as evidence. Mike kind of started us off there with a gaming moment. I think that's the category we could probably start with. I wrote this category award title as Standout Gaming Moment for a specific reason, because it's both about moments in a game and the moments you experience that are personal to you. So, if you accomplish something in a game, like Mike said, beating Mega Man 3 without dying, that counts. But so does a really well-written moment in a game. And we're going to kind of mix these all together and try to pick some top ones. If it's such a personal experience that it only happened to you, we probably won't pick that. But if it's something that we think a lot of people might have felt similarly about, then yeah, that might work. So why don't we hop in here? I think I can hear Mike still. Well, he was still typing these away.
I tried to very quietly. I'm good. I got this.
Yeah, he's good. He says he was going to go on the fly. He's entering some right now, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start with one of mine just to kick us off. Let me start with maybe my favorite one. Getting my first chicken dinner in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I really like good stories in games, and I like writing some of the time. It has to be very, very good. There is a game that I put a couple of moments from, Wolfenstein 2, that I picked out specifically because it had so many great moments. But the things I respond to most in gaming are the things that the gameplay and the mechanics create or the systems create. And for me, that was winning a game of PUBG, which is just when it came out in March or April, I got on pretty quickly. And I probably spent that first whole month playing the solo version by myself, trying to just get my first win. And it took a really long time. And I think I had played probably about 90 hours before I finally won a single match. So then when you get to that point where you're in that final 5 and you've been there a couple times before and you finished up number 3 or number 2, and it hurts so bad because you're so close, and you can feel yourself getting better, but you're still not good enough. That can get really, it gets intimidating. Like, you're like, what if I never do this? And you start like putting off other games because I'm like, okay, no, I have to accomplish this. I have to do this before I can move on. It's an albatross around my neck now. So when I got to the point where I was in a match and I was in the top 5 and I just saw everything unfolding in front of me, where, you know, I saw the 4 other people right over there. You know, I could see them fighting each other, and I got set up in a way to stay off to the side and pick them off when I could. And like one ran in front of me, and I threw a flash grenade, stunned him, took him out, and that drew everyone else out looking for me. But they all spotted each other, and the other 3, like 2 of them died, and I took out the last one and got my win. And it was just, I don't know, it was ecstatic. It was awesome. And I think that is something that most people who have played the game and gotten a chicken dinner would feel similarly about. Do you guys, maybe before we get into some of these story moments, do you guys have anything along those lines?
No, because my big competitive game is Overwatch, and, you know, you're winning half of your games there, right? So that's kind of the neat thing about PUBG, right? Is that the win is so kind of elusive. And there's still like an accomplishment from like, oh, I did pretty good, you know, this time or whatnot. I do like the deathmatch mode they added into Overwatch, just because it is like that. I can feel good about winning that. Maybe,
right.
Like, oh, look, I went up against these other people. Even though it's like not a super fair mode because these characters aren't really balanced for that. I, you know, still pat myself on the back for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that case, I guess we can get into some of these other ones. Steph, why don't we start with you? Let's, you know what? Let's talk about Nier Automata.
Oh.
Let's do it. I'm actually, I might surprise you guys. I know I've been saying how much I don't like this game, but there's some moments in this game that I really, really like. So lay it on us, Steph. I'm very interested in, because just the way you wrote this.
I just wrote starts crying because of Nier Automata. Because there are little moments where you really get just stabbed in the heart throughout the game. Because the first place I went in not knowing anything, and I'm partway through my second playthrough, and then I got spoiled, and I'm just emotionally scarred, and I need support right now in my life because I found out that 2B dies, and then you find out all this other stuff afterwards, you know, and I watched a scene on YouTube where, this is my moment, where 9S takes her arm off her corpse and attaches it to himself. And I was just like, oh no, nothing will ever be okay ever again. And it's just like this convoluted love story / you know, all this other stuff with even more spoilers about their like really complex relationship. And it's just really like, I'm still not over it, and I'm really concerned about when I get to that point in the game, because I'm gonna finish it. I'm really worried for future Stephanie. How I'm gonna need to like block off like a couple days or something, and just be like,
days of mourning for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
I will say that moment got me pretty. Like, I actually played through it, and that happened. I didn't know it was coming, and I was full on like, yeah, 2B's good. 2B's good. 2B's my waifu. I like it, and then gut punch. Like, no, why you do this?
It's just our robot boyfriend and girlfriend. Leave them alone. Let's like be happy.
Exactly. Like, leave them be. Although I will say that there is more to it that you don't quite know yet, Steph.
Yeah.
So,
that's why I'm concerned, because I've seen like little bits and pieces here and there, like her recording in her little like flight mech thing to him, and I'm just like, oh god, there's just going to be layers and layers of heartbreak in this game, and I'm just going to be strolling along, you know, doing a side quest.
It's not happy-go-lucky. It's not. Yeah. It's not Mario.
Yeah, definitely not. If I were to pick a moment from Nier, it would be the very beginning of playthrough B, where before you take control, before you take control of 9S, and you're playing as one of the sad, sort of half broken, half like, you know, useless robot, and he just keeps saying brother. And
that's so good.
Yeah, you see that he's talking about one of his other robot pals that's right there, who he considers his brother, or maybe is his brother, and this other robot's dead, and the robot that you're playing as is like brother, and keeps going back and forth trying to get oil to pour on his brother to bring him back to life, because he thinks that's how it works. And you walk around the edge to get the bucket, and you're holding the bucket, and you're like, okay, there's some oil right over there. I just got to go get it. You can walk right up to it, and the game lets you fill up the bucket slowly. And then once you have it, you turn around. You're like, okay, maybe this will work. Because I didn't know at this point. I don't know how this works. So you start walking back, and you try to take the shortest path, and your robot trips on this little piece of metal or whatever, and drops the bucket and spills everywhere. And it's just devastating. You go fill it up again and pour it on it, and nothing happens, and the robot's still dead.
It's so good.
And
then the main character the main character looks at you and laughs haha, it's people.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. And it's like, I have not played all the way through it, and already I'm like, oh boy, 9S. I don't think you need to really say this sort of shit because you need to look at yourself right now, my friend.
Yeah. You're a robot too.
Yeah. And if you're talking about dying as a robot and coming back to life, I literally just played through a moment where you came back to life as a robot. So yeah, I don't know. But that really got me and made me think, okay, I actually will keep playing through this, although I haven't yet, and I'll get over the hump.
There's so many little moments. It's like a mechanic moment at the beginning is when you first die. And the credits scroll. And then I was telling Mike earlier, it just filled me with existential dread throughout the rest of the game. Because I was constantly like, oh, it's been a while since I saved,
That's the great thing, too, is there's the, 3 or 4 or 5, forget, the actual, ending things, but there's all these, joke endings,
right, there's
too.
It's 26 different endings, but only 5 are, those real substantial ones, and the other ones are, half jokes.
That stuff is pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else from Nier that I would call out. I don't know. That moment was the biggest one. Mike, why don't you give us one?
I think the big one for me is, obviously I liked Super Mario Odyssey, and there were a lot of really cool moments in that game. A lot of things that stuff at the end I don't even want to talk about. Just discovering that, I can actually capture this thing and become that thing.
Hey, we can do full spoilers here. This is people need to be prepared for that.
Yeah, but that's not my moment anyways. The best fair. The best moment is in the New Donk City level, when you kind of first go there, it is rainy, and you do this kind of fun boss fight on the tower. But then once you do a little bit of the open world thing, you kind of help set up this festival, and then you do the festival, and it's just this level. It's mostly doing that 2B stuff, right? 2B. I'm thinking of near 2D stuff. 2D.
I was very confused.
The dimension. It's
Mario
the 2D
shows
platforming with
I don't know.
With the retro side-scrolling things, but you're kind of working your way up this tower, and they're playing that song, that Jump Up Superstar. There's fireworks everywhere. It's nighttime. It's just crazy looking, and it's just super fun. It's super exciting. It's just one of the best levels I've seen in a game in recent memory.
Yeah, it's a moment of high production in terms of presentation that's very directed. Where most of the game is you just you'll see some shit out there. We made it so you can just run in any direction and you'll find something. We promise. And this was a moment they're like, no, give us the reins a little bit, and we're gonna show you a really good time. And it worked. It really worked for me. And it was very respectful and reverent of Mario's history.
It was cool to see literally Donkey Kong. A lot of times there's a lot of references to Super Mario Bros. But it's cool to see Donkey Kong take a lot of the kind of reins there.
For sure. Yeah, I like that moment a ton. Stephanie, how far into Mario did you get before you got bored, I guess?
I think I'm in a jungle somewhere still. I think it's okay.
No.
Oh my god.
It's good. It's fine.
It's almost worse than hating it.
Yeah, because it keeps getting better, too. That's the thing. So have you played through New Donk City?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So,
at least get through this. At least get through New Donk City. Okay. That's all I ask.
I'll revisit it. I'll have some time over the holidays, I think. There's so many other things to play, though, that are more interesting than
That's good. Nothing's more interesting. Nothing's more interesting.
There are some other moments from Mario I at least want to talk about. When you... I guess we could... you're not going to care about spoilers, really, Stephanie. You don't have a lot of nostalgia for Mario, right?
She's not playing this game.
Yeah, I know.
What's a Mario spoiler?
What's a Mario?
Meet a new enemy? There's no plot.
Oh, my God.
This is one of those things. Oh, my God. My friend trolls me about this. You cannot spoil Mario.
You can spoil Mario.
Spoil experiences, which are way more important than some stupid writing. Sorry.
Says the writer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. At the end, you take over Bowser, and
oh, it's so cool.
It's awesome. It's like such a that's another good moment where they're gonna play a song that has really silly lyrics, and it feels cinematic, which is very weird for a Nintendo game, at least a Mario game. I don't know.
The whole time you're kind of wondering, like, is that going to happen? Is that going to be a thing? Are they going to let me do that?
Right, exactly.
And they do.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. They pay that off. They know they can't really introduce that without coming up with a good reason why you can't, or just letting you do it, and they let you do it. And it's it's a really good moment. It's a really good way to cap off that first playthrough.
Right. This is more of a me.
Damn it, I didn't even realize it.
This is more of a me thing, but it was definitely one of my favorite moments when I got 999 moons.
I mean,
kind of like spending a lot of extra time going back, getting all of them. Still just having a ton of fun the entire time. Like making that accomplishment happen was great.
How do you feel about? Did you have any excitement or feeling of accomplishment when you beat Darker Side of the Moon?
Yeah, that one was that whole kind of final level thing was cool, and there are some Mario games, specifically like Mario World, that have like that extra hard final level, which is neat. I thought that one was super fun, and it did take me kind of like a couple of days of going through that to get it down. And it was cool kind of like it's cool to like see your progress, right? Like at first, like you start like zipping by the areas that gave you trouble before and working your way to the new ones.
It starts with like a way to get go from 3 hearts to 6 hearts, and I'm just I don't need the 6 hearts. I can get to the next point.
Right? Yeah. No. I don't even bother with the 6 hearts right away. I just go to the that one by the pyramid. That's
the Sphinx.
Later.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. I haven't really had a lot of time to perfect my run, but it is a really cool way to play a Mario level. It's it's different and fresh, and I kind of hope I'm like sitting here thinking, man, a new Super Mario, Odyssey. Like, what does that look like? Do I just want more DLC that plays on this stuff, or do I want a whole new game that has a lot more of the stuff in the back half?
I would love a Mario Odyssey too.
Yeah, so I don't know, but this level's making me think that, and I can't wait to beat it because I'm sure it probably would have ended up on this list for me. Let's see, I got a bunch of Wolfenstein ones. If you guys want to indulge me,
go for it.
Yeah.
This is like the last one on my list that I need to play still.
You haven't even... Okay, god damn it.
Well, look, I've been working on everything else. I spent all day yesterday playing Mega Man 3, which was a good decision. The hell with your new games.
Yeah. Okay, so... Let me see if I really have one that I want to stand above the rest. There's the beheading. There's the meeting Dad.
So pleasant.
Yeah. That scene is... so up and down, such a roller coaster that it actually almost is pleasant, just the way that the whole thing goes.
Is that the thing from the trailer with the lady with the axe?
No, that's the very beginning. That's another beheading. There's multiple beheadings.
Why are you beheading so many people?
If I'm being honest,
you have Nazis.
Yeah,
come on, Nazis.
It's tough. Okay, so I think I'll go with meeting the director, and then I'll have another one that I actually didn't write down. So in the lead up to Wolfenstein 2's release, they did some advertising that showed the back of a character's head that people were like, oh, maybe he'll be in this one, maybe he won't be. We saw it. Okay, he's going to be in this game. Turns out that he is on Venus, and you meet him when you go to. God, neither of you have played it, so I'm like actually hesitant to spoil some of these things because they really are so incredible. So. I'm going to say who the character is. It's Adolf Hitler.
Makes you feel any better. I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, fair enough. That helps. So you go to Venus, and you're going to play this character in this movie as a way to infiltrate this place to basically disable it so you can do another mission or whatever. That doesn't matter so much. But you're pretending to be an actor, and you go to Venus, you meet Adolf Hitler, who's going to be this guest director on this movie or this episode of a TV show. It wasn't clear. And you're there with a couple other actors who are all trying to get this part. And Hitler comes on, and he starts talking to some of you. And he meets one named Ronnie, who is very... He's like a sycophant. I can never say that word correctly, but he's like sniveling and trying to play up to the power and say, "Oh man, you're so great. You guys are so doing such a good job. I'm such an admirer of your work. And I just want to be an actor in wholesome films." And he does something I can't remember exactly what, but he makes Hitler nervous, who happens to be a paranoid guy. And Hitler says, "Oh wait, are you a Jew? Are you a Jew?" And he takes out his gun. He's like, "Wait, huh?" And he shoots him in the head. And if you go afterwards, like after this happens, and look at the guy's his chair where he's sitting, he has some paperwork, and it says his last name, and it's covered, and the last 3 letters are GAN, and it's pretty clear that this guy is Ronald Reagan.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, okay, so that's incredible. And then you get your chance to go and actually audition for the part, and you stand up, and you walk across, and they hand you a gun, a loaded gun, because you guys are going to be, this is like Hitler wants it to be real, and you get a chance to earn an achievement, which is shoot Hitler in the head. And the game's automatically over. There's so many guards around, they'll kill you, but you get an achievement for that.
Wow.
And it's like, you want to, you get to a point where you sort of want to check and see if other people who have played through this game, if they have that achievement or not, so you know if they're on the up and up. It's almost like a moral test. Like, Microsoft should probably just keep, or whoever, like, they should just keep a log of people who've played this game and whether or not they have this achievement, and just send it off to like the right, people to understand and know like who's who. Yeah, and it just kind of keeps escalating from there to a point where then you go in and you do your audition for real and impress Hitler, and they love it. And I don't know,
loves it.
Yeah, it's a good scene, but there's just some of these really small moments inside of it that make it like way better, and it shows like, oh, these are like really good writers. They could have done Hitler and Wolfenstein 2 in so many really dumb ways that came off really poorly, and they actually handled it really well. So I really appreciated it. The other thing about Wolfenstein 2, I'll say, is just the way it pays off some of its stuff. So there's these are a couple of moments, but the one I will talk about, which is pretty basic, is an example of how good the storytelling is your wife is pregnant. You're BJ Blazkowicz. Your wife is pregnant. You guys aren't married. You could tell that BJ wants to marry her because at the very beginning of the game, he's having a flashback with his mom, and she hands him a wedding ring and says, "Hey, you can ask someone, eventually with this ring that's been in our family. Just don't show your father because your father's a bad guy." And it's something they don't bring up again until about halfway through the game, where you go back home, and it's clear that he's going home to get that ring. It's somewhere in the house. He's going to go find it. And during that sequence, you actually deal with some stuff with your father in that scene that's very good. But I'll let you guys see that for yourselves. But you get the ring, and it gives you a nice reminder, like, oh yeah, there's this ring. Here it is. Something's going to have to happen with this, right? And then you play through the rest of the game and sort of forget about it again. And then as the credits are playing, he does get down and asks her to marry him. And it was such a really refreshing and sort of tight story where it's like just these 3 beats throughout the entire game told such a simple and elegant story inside of this video game that is otherwise sometimes very silly, a lot of the time very violent, but it also always knows where its heart is, and I thought this was a good example of that. But yeah, there's some other stuff I could talk about from Wolfenstein, but those are the moments I wanted to touch on the most. Stephanie, why don't we get to you? You have some other ones that you wanted to get on.
Oh yeah, I think this one sort of blew everyone away during the demos, like at E3 and PAX and the other events. But in What Remains of Edith Finch, the cannery scene with Lewis Finch, where you play sort of like the daydream character in like this fantasy world with one joystick, and then with the other you're like just beheading fish. I just thought that game is full of really great little moments, but that's just so memorable. Yeah, it's just incredible, and it just really puts you in that mindset of like multitasking, and it's just like all around just terrific, I think.
Yeah, I was kind of blown away. I had not seen anything from that actually until I played it this past week, finally. And so when that moment came along and you're doing the one thing with the left analog stick and the other with the right analog stick, and you could feel your brain sort of filling up the space to make sure that you're able to do both of these things at once. Like, it's kind of keeping things... It fills up the space in between so you can do them separately. Like, it puts, like, this fog in your head. Like, I could feel it physically manifest almost. And then, yeah, you get to a point where you are just automatically keeping up with the fish and still focusing instead on the little character, basically this little character who builds his own little world to become the king of this world, and it slowly overtakes the rest of the screen. It's very powerful stuff. I was really impressed with that specific moment, especially from this game.
Yeah, and that story, I feel like it's just really relatable. Like the desire for escapism, and like his life is like pretty pretty rough, you know, and he just kind of retreats into this fantasy world that seems more real to him than his actual life. I think it's just like, it's just A+, I think.
Just let the kid smoke some pot, goddammit.
Yeah, just let everyone be happy.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, I don't know. Those mechanics really do get that point across really well, though. So, yeah, that could be one of our finals for sure, I think. Mike, you've written some stuff down here.
Yeah, I got one of the big ones is Uncharted Lost Legacy, and this is kind of about the end, so another spoiler. But I like the whole thing a lot. But I thought it was really neat. The very final level it's a big callback to Uncharted 2, which is where the main character's game Chloe originated. It's a train level again, but it's really neat. Can you guys hear me? Did I go away for a second?
No, you're here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Everything went real quiet. But yeah, the train level was the best thing in Uncharted 2, which is one of my favorite games. And it was really cool to see them like basically be like, hey, look, this is now the PlayStation 4. We can do an even bigger, better train level with kind of like just more tricks and whatnot. It was just super fun to play through. It just like the same reason why that train level from Uncharted 2 is still impressive. Like that train was actually going through this large landscape. It was just on this path. It was these neat tricks where like you'd have to like use a sniper rifle to kill people like 5 trains ahead of you, and if like the train turned, it was like this really weird perspective thing. Yeah, that series is just built on these cool kind of moments like that, these set pieces, and that was one of the coolest ones I ever played in this series. Awesome.
Yeah, that is one of the things I always notice about Uncharted is they are very good technically, but they use it in ways that a lot of times it's almost invisible, and you don't really realize it until you're like, oh, I'm doing some really cool stuff that I haven't done in games before. Lord of the Mountain. Yeah, this is a good one. Steph, talk about this one. I like this.
Yeah, I think we all have sort of stuff from Zelda, but just you know, you see that sort of glow off in the distance in the mountains, and you never really, you know, you might be doing some stuff or, you know, fighting some divine beasts and things like that. And then, you know, once you eventually get there and you see the Lord of the Mountain for the first time, I was just like so blown away. There are like a lot of little moments like that.
Yeah.
But that one in particular really stood out to me. Like, I don't think Zelda's like a perfect game. I think it's like amazing, but it's not perfect. But just the fact that it can replicate that sense of wonder that you're really exploring this world, I think it's like really just memorable, I think.
You're right. It's a good example of that sort of thing that does happen pretty often in that game. You can just go running in any direction. And I think the way I described it in the review is it's like Minecraft if Minecraft were made by Nintendo, because you're always going over another hill, but then there's always going to be something interesting over every one of those hills. But sometimes it's like a special moment, and that's one of those for sure. I really liked trying to capture the Lord of the Mountain and be able to ride him and kind of figuring that out and realizing I was supposed to be going pretty slow and really surprise him. If there was a way, I think you could do it like you just go up to one of the 2 cliffs that are right next to his little pond and jump down and try to land right on his back. I think I got that to work once, and that was very exciting. So.
I actually hit him the first time I saw him because I thought he was like one of those little like glowy bunnies. Like, oh, if I hit him, I'll get something. And then just like all the beauty just evaporated around me, and I was like, "What have I done?"
Oops! Oh no, I've ruined the world.
Yeah. Am I the bad guy?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah. I guess more on Zelda. I just liked anytime I made a discovery about the way the systems will actually let you do the thing you want to do. For example, and this is one I discovered recently. Like you throw a metal boomerang, and then you switch to your magnetic power. And you could grab the boomerang out of midair while it's still floating in front of you and hold it out, and it's just like still spinning, and it's this just metal blade now. You could walk around with it and go attack enemies with it. And that works because they just built all these systems as what they call it basically like a chemistry system as opposed to a physics system, which are, you know, every game has physics. Most games have physics. They just built this chemistry system, and everything works the way it's supposed to. Everything makes sense. And when you go and make a discovery like that, like if this system is real, if they really built it out, and it's not just a bunch of smoke and mirrors, I should be able to do this thing. And then you go and try it, and you could do that thing, and it's like, oh my, okay, wow. And that happened to me over and over, which is why it's hard to pick out just one moment from this. But that was one of the magic parts of Zelda for sure.
I think I also felt a sense of invincibility when I first started Zelda, and then I set everything around me on fire and died. And I was like, oh, there are consequences in this world. And it does, as you say, like feel like it's like a real world with real like rules in place that work as you would expect them to. And there aren't any like artificial barriers necessarily, you know, and just added in with like all those little moments where you discover things and you're surprised by things. It just makes for like a great gaming experience.
I think coming from people that have played games for a long time, it could feel even more magical because like you might show something like, oh yeah, if you want to get across this this gap here in the land, there's like this chasm and there's some trees right here. I'm going to knock down a tree and I'll build a bridge out of this tree. I think people who don't play a lot of games would be like, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, why? Of course you're going to be able to do that. Why wouldn't you do that? But for like, I don't know. I've been playing games so long. Like, of course, it's not. No, that's not an option. You can never do that. There's some other trick here you're supposed to figure it out. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Special game. Let's see. Mike, Persona 5 music. Is there? Talk about that. Explain.
So Persona 5. It's very kind of dungeon focused, right? Where you go through this calendar, like every kind of month or so, there's like the specific dungeon you're supposed to get through, and you kind of manage your time and spend a few days usually to get through the whole thing. Once you reach the end of the dungeon, just kind of like a story moment with the understanding of, okay, we're going to come back tomorrow now and basically fight the boss. So each dungeon has its own song, but when you get to that moment where you go in for the last day, like you kind of know, like this is it, this is the big final push. There's a special song that plays. It's this really catchy kind of like guitar driven, like dun, 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 dun. It's like, yeah, let's do this. And it's always great. I always liked that song. It kind of had like a lead guitar as like the main melody thing. Towards the end of the game, like about the second to last or third to last dungeon, where like the plot's really kind of picked up, you're kind of in the final act. You're doing with the dungeon. You go back for that final day, and you're like, okay, let's do it. Yeah, the song's playing, but instead of like the guitar, it's like a vocal version that comes in. So there's like lyrics now, and like that just pumped me up so much. It was just this really neat moment. I was like, oh yeah, this means this is special now. Like shit's really going down now. I'm super into this.
Yeah, I feel like most games don't have really great musical cues like that. That's one of the things I did like about Mario at the end. They tell you it's special by having another big song. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of games have good music, but yeah, sometimes they aren't so good about like the cues specifically. And that really was this neat way of like this. Not only is this song good, but it's like signaling this kind of this feeling from me, right? It wasn't just like because specifically of how the song sounds, even, but just the way that like they kind of presented that song and how it played off of past experiences and subverted them in this really fun way.
I only have one more. It was just beating Cuphead. I think
I did that.
Yeah, I think Cuphead's a pretty hard game, and it felt pretty good to beat.
Gotta look out for that tutorial.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, I had someone else come do it. I had Dean come over and beat that for me, and then I played the rest. Love you, Dean. Yeah. I don't know. There's not much else to say about that. It's a hard game, and it's cool to have beaten it. It felt really good at the time. That's a good game. But we could probably start figuring out the top three here. I'm wondering, do you guys have any thoughts about what should be over there for sure?
Well, what if we each said our favorite of the ones we said at least?
Yeah.
Might be good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, why don't you guys start?
I think New Donk City probably needs to be there. I think that was just the highlight of one of the best games of the year for me.
Yeah, I think for me it'd be the Lewis Finch in the cannery with the salmon scene.
I feel like I'm getting spoiled here because those two I'm easily like ecstatic about both of those because they're both really great moments. I don't know. For me, mine would actually probably be getting a chicken dinner in PUBG. I think that's it's a rare experience, but it's enough people play that game to know what I mean. And it's really...
Jeff made his all about him.
I know, totally. But I mean, it's only because you guys haven't gotten chicken dinners. How is that my fault? Get good, scrub.
Oh, I could get a chicken dinner.
I don't know. Can you?
I can go to Popeyes.
You want to know the funny thing? The day before my first chicken dinner, I went to Popeyes. I for lunch.
Nice.
That's what I had, and then I came home and got it. I thought it was fortuitous. I would put that over there. I mean, that's if I'm just being honest. And I think that's a pretty good list, if I'm also being honest.
Yeah, I think that does it.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I could go with any of these to win. Do you guys feel passionate about any of them?
I mean, I would pick New Donk City, I guess. But, I mean, kind of asking us to come to consensus about this is going to be kind of rough. Because the one is so personal to you. Steph doesn't really... I didn't play that part of Mario. I didn't play Edith Finch, actually.
So I played all three, and I leave
it in your hands, Jeff.
Fair enough. I would actually probably go with Lewis Finch in the Cannery.
Not how... I thought you would agree with me. I don't leave it in
New York City is awesome, but it was just like... It's special for a Mario game more than anything else. I mean, it's a really good moment for any game, period. But it was special because it was in a Mario where you don't get those kind of moments a lot. That helped. Although I'm probably going to argue against anyone who makes arguments later in this week about why this game deserves or doesn't deserve anything because it's about Mario. But for now, Lewis Finch in the Cannery. Yeah.
Fine.
It probably helps that I literally just played that, but it was mind blowing. It was really cool.
It's just so thematically tied and just mechanically innovative.
It's good. It's got all the stuff I want. Like if you're gonna tell a story, do it with mechanics, and they did that. And it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's just like it really gives you that physical sense of being overwhelmed, and it does it well. So yeah, all right, that's our winner. So what remains of Edith Finch, the Lewis Finch in the Cannery moment. The runner-ups there: New Dog semi-finale and getting a chicken dinner, your first chicken dinner in PUBG. All right.